Hi everybody, Cadence here, and I'm here to tell you the very tragic events and true stories of the town we know as Kinzville. So, I was walking down the street, right, and then I came across Ivory, and then she was all like, well, do you want to buy some drugs? And I was like, no, what the friggly frack, I don't want to buy drugs, because, I don't do drugs, because I'm a very responsible citizen. And she said, oh, well, I'm actually going to, like, kidnap you and dropkick you into the sun if you don't buy my drugs. And I was like, oh, shoot, I don't want to do that. So then I followed her, and it was crazy because, she scammed me. There were no drugs, actually. It was literally just, a blade of grass, and she told me to eat it or else I would die. And so I ate it, right? And then I passed out, and then I died. Yeah, so, that was crazy. And then I respawned in a bush, and then this dragon approaches me, right? And it was crazy. And she was all like, I'm going to teach you the ways of the pizza rolls. And I was like, what the heck does that mean? And she told me just to follow her and come inside, and that it was totally not sketchy and that nothing bad would happen to me. And, she seemed very trustworthy, you know? So, like, I believed her, right? And so I followed her inside. So I was walking through the very foresty forest, and I realized that I had lost track of the pizza roll dragon. So I was starting to panic. I was like, where am I? What's going on? And so I tried to run a different way, and then something wild happened. Yeah, so, like, as I was saying, something actually insane happened, and I, like, came across, like, this crazy sight. Like, this whale flew towards me, and I was like, what the freak? What the hell? Is that a whale on the ground? Am I actually freaking hallucinating? And then he started flying, and then I saw him up in the sky, and then I started to go up into the sky too, until I fell and died again, and I realized that I actually didn't die, and I was just seeing the light for the 57th time, and I started to panic again. I was like, well, where's the pizza roll dragon? Why did I hallucinate a whale on the ground? And I was all, like, flabbergasted. So I decided to, like, pace in circles, right? I was pacing in circles, and then I rolled around in the grass, and then I ate the grass because the grass is delicious, and then I caught sight of something crazy. Yeah, so I caught sight of Elliott, who is like this shy emo boy that I've never even heard speak before. So I was like, what are you doing here? Where are we? Like, what's going on? And he was all like, yo bro, that was a scammer. And I was like, well, why should I trust you? You're literally just a shy emo boy. I've never even heard you speak before. Why should I trust you? And then he told me to follow him inside, and I was like, well, someone already told me to follow them inside, and I just got trapped in more forests. So I was like, well, I don't know if I trust you. And then he said that the pizza rolls were inside, and I was like, but I already was told there were pizza rolls inside, and I was about to start sobbing, and then I just, like, hallucinated ketchup on the ground, so I started licking the ground, and then he slapped me and was like, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm just flabbergasted, I don't know. And then he told me to follow him inside, and then we just kind of teleported, and he just kind of grabbed me, and we just kind of flew away. Okay, and then we finally teleported indoors, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. I've been outside for literally 50 billion years now. And then Elliott turned to me as I was starting to, like, sob again. Okay, it was really sad and flabbergasting, and I was just like, I'm hungry. Where are the pizza rolls? And he told me that he could show me the way to the pizza rolls, and I started flipping out. I was like, well, why should I trust you? Last time I was told that there would be pizza rolls, I got, like, killed, and then I respawned in a bush, so why should I trust you? And then he grabbed my paw, and we teleported again. Okay, and then I ended up in the oven, and I was like, why am I in the oven? So I got out of the oven, and then I asked Elliott, like, what the flip, bro? Why did you teleport me into the oven? That wasn't very, like, cash money of you. And then he said, oh, sorry, bro, I didn't mean to do that. And I was like, okay, wow, I knew I couldn't trust a shy, sad emo boy. And then he said, okay, I'm gonna give you pizza rolls now. And then I said, oh, thank you for the pizza rolls, even though they didn't exist yet, but, like, okay, I was flabbergasted. And then he looked me in the eyes and said that the pizza rolls were burning in the oven. And I looked at him, like, all flabbergasted, and I was like, what do you mean the pizza rolls were burning in the oven? Like, I've been waiting my whole life for this. And he looked at me and said, I'm sorry for your loss. And I said, well, thank you for being sorry for my loss, but nothing's going to fix this. And I started sobbing, despite myself. I was so upset and flabbergasted. And then he just said, like, oh, bye, loser. And he left, and I was just sobbing there without my pizza rolls. And then the pizza roll dragon came back. And then she told me that I was actually in heaven, but that she lied and that I wasn't in heaven and I was in purgatory because I didn't eat enough pizza rolls. And I was like, what the freak? This doesn't make any sense. What kind of fever dream is this? And she was like, oh yeah, that's a side effect of licking ketchup off the ground. And I said, oh, gosh diggity darn it, bro. Like, why did I do that? And I was just standing there and said, like, okay, well, Elliott said he burned my pizza rolls. And then she told me to look into the oven. So I peered into the oven and I saw that my supposed burned pizza rolls were actually Nolan. And I was like, what the freak? Why is Nolan in the oven as my pizza rolls? So I yanked him out of there and I told him, like, why would you pretend to be my pizza rolls? That's not very cool, man. And then I figured out that he was, like, passed out and unconscious. And I was like, oh, okay then. And then I walked away. So then I just walked back to my bed. And because, like, this was all getting to be too much. It was like, well, what is going on? I just got scammed, and then I died, like, 3 times, and then I accidentally killed Nolan. So I was just like, okay, this is enough. I'm going to bed. And then I fell asleep. Okay, so I fell asleep, and then I woke up, and then Nolan came back, and I was like, wait, what the heck? I thought you were, like, dead. I thought I accidentally killed you because I thought you were my pizza rolls. And then he told me, like, no, what the freak? What are you even talking about? I just took your temperature, and it's 114 degrees. And then I said, oh, gosh diggity darn it. And then he said, well, you should probably stay home from work and stuff and just take a nap. And I said, okay, I will do that. So then I proceeded to sleep for 17 hours. Okay, so anyways, I woke up and the lights were back on, and Nolan came back to me and told me that I had randomly magically recovered, and I was like, oh, yay, yippee. So I started, like, jumping for joy, and then I was like, wait, all that stuff that happened was, like, actually crazy and absolutely true. Like, I did not make any of that up. Like, this is not clickbait. Like, why would you even think that? So I decided, like, I should make a YouTube video about this. And Nolan was like, well, why would you do that? None of it even happened. And I was like, well, YouTube views. And he said, you kind of suck. Why would you do that? That's clickbait. And I said, no, it's not clickbait. It's literally true because I can lie. And then he said, like, don't lie to your fans. That's not very cool. And I said, well, I'm not lying because I'm gaslighting myself because it's totally true. And he said, that's not very healthy and I should go see a therapist. And I said, okay. But then I didn't actually see a therapist because, I knew that I was lying, and I wasn't actually gaslighting myself into believing that I accidentally killed Nolan, so now I'm making a YouTube video about it. So, there you have it. One crazy KinzTube story, and Nolan is still alive.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yes. And that's the end of this wonderful story, and it was absolutely not clickbait, 100% real. Extremely emotional, please, almost died, must watch, extremely emotional, just like, please, like the video, it's totally true. And then, so Nolan came back and said the outro for me, but then I cut the audio out because he sucks, and then I kicked him, and I think I accidentally killed him again, but then I just walked away. And that was the end. Bye!